Fitness trackers have a ton of potential when it comes to helping us increase our health and fitness as well as our physical performance. There's a lot of untapped possibility here for new innovative features that could provide more biofeedback, more data, and more motivation. Unfortunately, the industry seems to have stagnated somewhat. Most of the devices that have come out lately are rather uninspiring when it comes to what they can do. I haven't seen anything new for a while. The Garmin Vivosmart 3 bucks this trend somewhat. It might not be the most attractive or intuitive device on the market, but it has some unique features that I feel should earn it your attention. So the Vivosmart 3 doesn't look all that impressive when you first open it up. It's a pretty rubbery feeling device, it's very light, and the screen feels soft rather than anything like glass. It's also a black and white screen with lots of light bleed, giving it an overall cheap feeling. It's small enough that this doesn't matter hugely though, and it's fairly innocuous when worn under the sleeves. It's a budget end device after all, and the diminutive stature reflects this. And it is waterproof, which is a nice feature to be honest, although there's no swim tracking, which I feel is a missed opportunity. Battery life is around 5 days, which is fairly average for this feature set. The UI unfortunately doesn't fare much better. Navigating through options is done via the touchscreen, but the menu is laid out in a completely odd manner, which will take you a fair amount of practice to get to grips with. To access the fitness tracking, for instance, you need to long press on the screen, which no one tells you. The device doesn't always respond when it should, leading to lots of wild tapping. More annoyingly, it sometimes does respond when it shouldn't. I've lost entire workouts because I folded my arms and touched the screen, which is really frustrating. There's an awful lot of functionality packed into this UI, however, especially for a budget end device, which makes this somewhat forgivable. Somewhat. There's even music controls, the ability to check phone notifications on your wrist, and an option to choose the watch face from a small selection. There's a lot more customization and functionality here than, again, lots of the comparable devices offer. Likewise, the Garmin Connect app is packed with useful data that's similarly obtuse and difficult to navigate. I guess this is just Garmin's prerogative. But you don't buy a fitness device for its looks, unless you're an Apple fan. This device is all about tracking your health and fitness, and that's where it excels. The Garmin Vivosmart 3 can track your steps, your calories, your sleep, your heart rate, and blah blah blah, all of the things you're used to by now. It does this all well. The sleep tracking is pretty accurate and gives you a good amount of detail. Likewise, the barometer for tracking elevation is an interesting, if fairly arbitrary, metric. The app syncs with MyFitnessPal, meaning you can use it to track calories in and out and thereby maintain a calorie deficit for effective weight loss if that's your bag. But the first unique and really interesting feature you'll find on the device is the ability to measure your stress. This works by looking at parasympathetic tone, aka heart rate variability. In other words, does breathing effectively slow and raise your heart rate as it should? If not, then this suggests that your sympathetic nervous system is dominant and you're in the fight or flight state. The device will measure stress throughout the day or on command, and it does sometimes appear to be in keeping with what I'm experiencing at any given time. On a recent stag party, for instance, I realised that I was going to be driving a somewhat terrifying looking go-kart on the actual road in Berlin. This was the first time my stress levels had reached high since testing the device. Other times though, the stress levels seem a bit random and I'm not sure how reliable this information is. I'm not 100% confident that the admittedly impressive heart rate monitor is sensitive enough to detect such minute and rapid changes. Theoretically, heart rate variability should be indicative of recovery following an intense workout, and your cortisol to testosterone ratio, so that could come in handy as well. For times when stress is reportedly high, there's also a relax timer that talks you through some basic breathing exercises to try and get you back your chill. This is nothing you can't do yourself with a clock, but it's a nice inclusion nonetheless. And in general, mindfulness and meditation is something that I think has a lot of potential on a fitness tracker. Then comes the fitness tracking itself. The Garmin Vivosmart 3 is capable of tracking runs, walks, treadmills, aerobic exercise and weightlifting. It does all of this well. The auto detect feature means that it can detect the start of a walk or run automatically so that no workouts are missed. At the same time though, it will also allow you to manually begin a workout session, which is a feature missing from the Fitbit. What's more is that Garmin's Elevate heart rate algorithm is much more accurate during exercise than Fitbit's Pure Pulse, giving you one of the best wrist-worn monitors for tracking your BPM. It's also nice that you get a readout of useful metrics such as pace, distance, calories and heart rate during your training. and you can manually change that data through the Connect app. This is something that's missing from most similarly priced devices, such as the Fitbit Ultra HR. But what really sets the Vivosmart 3 apart is its ability to track weightlifting sessions. This is not the first device to be able to do so. The Atlas wristband can do it, for instance, and the Gear Fit 2 also reportedly is able to track some movements after a recent update. But this is still a rare feature at the moment, and especially on a device this small and this affordable. During workouts, you simply tell the device when a set starts and ends, and it'll count your reps and rest times in between. Afterwards, it'll present you with a breakdown of the workout, and will even try and identify the exercises you did. This is a big step up from the Garmin Vivosmart HR, which would only give you information on your heart rate, calories, and distance after a gym session. Of course, the distance was always 0 or 0.1 miles, which was disheartening. I'm actually pretty annoyed that this new feature hasn't been brought to the Vivosmart HR via a software update, seeing as all the necessary hardware is there and it's not exactly a cheap device. The Vivosmart 3 even has an option to automatically detect the start of new sets, though this does not work at all. And actually, it's pretty hit and miss the rest of the time too. Often the device will get the exercises wrong, it almost always miscounts the number of reps, and it's very easy to forget to tell it that a session has started. Of course, it's completely useless when it comes to movements that only involve the legs, like leg press, although it does recognise squats impressively, and it's similarly stymied by unilateral one-armed movements, such as a one-armed bicep curl. My elaborate supersets and drop sets just confuse it as well. Fortunately, it is relatively easy to go into the app and edit the workouts if you want to, and at the very least, it's nice to have some vaguely accurate data following a workout. Perhaps the most useful thing though is getting timed between sets. It's a good way to remind you not to sit around chatting for too long, and to make sure that your rests are consistent. All in all, I think Garmin should be praised for trying this. It's a cool differentiator, and I wish that more fitness trackers would look into this. There is one serious omission here though as well, which is any form of GPS. It's no surprise that such a cheap device lacks an inbuilt GPS, but the fact that you can't sync it with the GPS on your phone is a real blow. This is something that is present on pretty much every fitness device, even cheap ones, like the Fitbit Flex 2. I'm annoyed because it's once again something that Garmin could have done easily, but chose not to, likely for cynical business reasons. And this is the biggest flaw that prevents me from making this a wholehearted recommendation for those serious about fitness. If you're a runner, then you're going to need something that can track the routes of your runs and give you more accurate distance. But actually, I know more people who weightlift than who run. If you're interested in tracking your general health and fitness, but want something that you can take to the gym as well, then this is a pretty cool option. If you run mostly on the treadmill, then it's a good call too. Personally, I'll be using it in conjunction with my Vivosmart HR, which I can do fairly easily thanks to the shared app. At the very least though, I think Garmin should be commended for trying some new things and for adding new features to their devices. This is a promising start that bodes well for the future of fitness tracking. So thanks for watching guys, I hope you found this interesting. If you did, please consider leaving a like and maybe subscribing to my channel, or checking out the blog at www.thebioneer.com. I discuss topics ranging from health and fitness to bodybuilding, to brain training to productivity and technology. I've got plenty more on the way, so stay tuned, and bye for now.